It's the Santana Show. Interesting guests and insight in good conversation with Naomi Santana. Lock in. Listen. Engage.
Welcome to the Santana Show. This is the second part of my interview with Miss Bianca Rae, news anchor at Spectrum News LA. Miss Bianca graduated from the University of Missouri. And just to recap from our previous interview, we talked about your interning days at KTLA and E, and we also talked about KESQ and your experiences there, and also about the misconceptions that people have about your job. But today I want to talk about the Bianca Rae Foundation, your nonprofit organization in Palm Springs, which the goal is to give a voice to the voiceless. So could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when I moved to Palm Springs from Chicago and obviously from college, from Missouri, I didn't know anybody in California. I didn't have any connections, any contacts, any friends, nobody. So I admittedly was very lonely. I was homesick, and I started volunteering at an animal shelter where I met my now baby dog, Jack. He was named Skippy when he was in the animal shelter, but now his name is Jack. And I just fell in love with him, and I felt compelled to save him. It was a kill shelter, and I took him home with me, and it was the biggest life-changing decision, the best decision I've made in my life. But I remember wanting to help the other brothers and sisters that we had to leave behind, as I told him. And I thought, at this point, I'd lived in the desert for a few months. I see there's all these, luncheons. There was at fundraiser luncheons and things like that. That's a big thing in the desert, all the different nonprofits. And I'm not very familiar with that world. I mean, I didn't grow up in a family that went to galas and balls in Chicago. I mean, we were very generous. Like, my mom always taught us about donating our time and volunteering. My sister and I volunteered at a retirement center, like a senior living center, all our entire time growing up. But I didn't understand, 501c3, the nonprofit world, tax deductible. Like, I don't know what any of that meant. So I just thought, I'm going to have a luncheon for this to raise money. I then subsequently learned you have to have a nonprofit, right? You have to be a 501c3 nonprofit in order to accept money and be able to put it back into programs and thus, like, the whole philanthropic cycle. So I read a lot of books. I took a lot of people to coffee. I asked a lot of questions. I am genuinely saying this for anybody who's wanting to start a nonprofit. Like, I didn't know how to either. I had not the slightest idea what any of that meant. I just knew I wanted to help. Like, that was it. And that was enough. I had a lot of people who stepped up to help me and felt compelled for some reason to help this young girl want to start a nonprofit. So I created a board, and I created a mission statement, and we created our articles of incorporation and filed in the state, all the things, and created the Bianca Rae Foundation. I wanted it to be called the Rae Hope Foundation, but that name was actually already taken. So we called it the Bianca Rae Foundation. And, simply put, Naomi, I learned very early on in my career that people listened to what I had to say, good or bad, right or wrong. I was on TV in a small town. You're automatically elevated. I mean, anytime you're on TV as a journalist, or as a public figure, you're elevated. But add to that, I was in a very small town. There's only like a handful of newscasters out there, and people listened to what I had to say. It was a privilege. It really was. And I knew what I wanted to do with that. I wanted to shine a light on children's causes and shelter animals. And I became really fascinated with the concept of the power of influence. And I still am to this day. And I'm just grateful that I was able to have that influence and the power that comes along with it. And with that power, I wanted to get more dogs out of shelters, and I wanted to get more resources to underprivileged kids. So very simply put, the Bianca Rae Foundation has two verticals. I describe it. So in our animal vertical, we have adoption events. We get all the different animal shelters and rescue organizations in the Coachella Valley together to shine a huge light on adoption and publicize it tremendously and get a lot of people to come and adopt. And we also serve as a resource of funding for a lot of these organizations. We've sponsored spay and neuter clinics. We've funded the transport of cats and dogs out of kill shelters to no kill shelters. So the Bianca Rae Foundation truly serves kind of as like, almost like the party planner, if you will, getting everybody together, getting everybody in the same room, shining a huge spotlight on this, and getting a lot of people to come to that room and adopt dogs, and also a resource of funding for these organizations. They do such tremendous work, and they've been around for years and years and years, and they've got brick and mortar animal shelters and vet technicians and experts. I mean, gosh, like their work, I bow down to them. Like we are just trying to help give them some more funding to do their good work. And I'm grateful that we're able to do that. In the youth vertical, the youth world, if you will, we have a bit more hands-on approach. And we are the orchestrators and facilitators of an annual retreat for middle school girls and boys from underprivileged communities. We've been doing this for 7 years. We're coming up on our 8th annual. We've had more than 2,500 kids attend. And simply put, these kids rotate through breakout groups in this one-day retreat, learning about self-esteem building and anti-bullying and leadership and overcoming major obstacles in their life, because a lot of these kids are handed the worst deck of cards. And we want them to know your past does not equal your future. And the success stories, Naomi, from this retreat are many kids going on to create their own businesses, their own nonprofits, create anti-bullying realms in their school, just have their own personal success stories of feeling better about themselves. We have an influx of messages from children saying, I feel seen for the first time. I've never known ... I never know I could achieve ... I didn't know I was the only one that was going through ... And I think it's that power of that shared experience that is life-changing for young people. And they need to know more about it. Right now on social media, you only see everybody's highlight reel. Adults like me, like you, like we were around before social media. We know it's a highlight reel. We know it's fake. We know it's, I don't want to say fake, but just people put their best foot forward. It's like very understood. I mean, you and me don't post a picture of like a close-up of our pit bull. Like that's just not what we do, you know?
No.
Sometimes, but I'm going to post a picture when I feel really pretty. You know, that's what you do. But like, it's very obvious to adults that it's a highlight reel. Kids, it's like not so understood. And I'm very, very passionate about opening their eyes to the shared experience, because one of the many reasons why suicide rates are so high is because kids at that age feel they're alone. And I want them to know that the power that they have and how special they each really are.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love what you're doing with your organization.
Thank you.
So how often do you go to Palm Springs then, since you have your organization over there?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been like once a month. Now my mom and dad actually just moved there.
Oh, they did?
Yes, just retired.
Where were they living before?
They were in Chicago, where we're from.
Oh.
Yeah, holidays or just throughout the year, I would go to Chicago. And now it's amazing that it's just a 2-hour drive away to go visit them. I've been it'll probably be once or twice a month. Some days I just go on like a Sunday, I'll drive, have dinner, and then come back, or I'll stay the night and come back. But they also come out and spend a lot of time with my boyfriend and I and our family. We all like travel together and just do a lot of things together, which is so important to me. So it's been exciting, but I'm definitely in the desert quite often.
Yeah, I could imagine. And now with your parents living there, it's even more often, right? Yeah, that's nice. Palm Springs has a Walk of Stars, similar to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right?
Yes.
And I know that you have a star there. So tell me about that. How did that happen? And how did you feel when you got that star?
Yeah, it was amazing. I found out I was nominated, and then the mayor of Palm Springs and an entire commission votes on anybody who's nominated, so as to go through that process of getting approved. And I remember getting the call, screaming, because yes, it's exciting. I mean, it was crazy exciting. Oh my gosh, you know? And I remember like one of the first thoughts that I thought was, I'm going to be able to show my grandchildren this someday. And it's just, I'm a very, very sentimental person. I mean, I saved everything. Like I have all the under my bed of like movie ticket stub or like hotel room keys, or like I save everything. I'm just
save everything. Oh my God, I'm like that too.
Yeah. I'm a very sentimental person. And to me, this is like one of those things. This is like something that I get to look back on and be like, wow, remember that time in my life, nearly a decade, that I got to live and work and help change the Coachella Valley and really impact it, not by myself at all. We have such, I mean, it's a shame it's like just my name on it, because it's like literally like our volunteers and my board and my advisory board. It's like a big Bianca Rae Foundation family. So I know part of the reason I was given that was, you know, the philanthropic work. And I share that truly with our whole team. I mean, I post about them all the time. Everybody I think knows Auntie Rosie and Kathy and Lisa and Monica and Diane and Jack and Sean, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, they're my people. They're my little family out there, and we do that all together. But thank you. It was amazing. It was like a ceremony. It felt like a little wedding. Hopefully I get married someday, but if not, I got one. Even a little white tuxedo. He was in a tuxedo. I was in a white dress. It was like my little mini wedding, you know.
Yeah, I saw the picture of you. You were in a white dress, a really pretty white dress, and like your hair was in a bun.
It was huge. Oh my gosh. But I don't regret it. It was amazing. No, joke aside, yes, it was. I said this in my little speech that evening. I said, I promise the people of the Valley that gave me this, that if the bigger the spotlight that they put on me, the bigger spotlight I will put on causes that matter to me. And I feel confident that I've done that, and I have continued to do that. I will always do that. And that's why I feel, you know, I don't know, sometimes you could feel like uncomfortable with the spotlight being put on you. You know, you feel like, do I deserve this? Am I worthy? Like all those things. And it can make you a little like uncomfortable. And I love it, because I genuinely love the ability and the power to put it on the causes that are important to me. So I enjoy it. It's fun. I love getting dressed up. I'm not going to lie about that. I've said that all the time. I mean, it's fun, the glitz and the glam that comes along with it. But I do feel like my purpose is the platform that this whole job, this whole career gives me, to be able to, whether it's through advocacy journalism, covering stories that inspire people to make a change, whether it's through the Bianca Rae Foundation, actually making change that way. I'm only able to do that, right, because I'm a public figure in this industry. So I'm grateful for that. And it was one of the top days of my life, for sure.
That's amazing. And yeah, I think in our previous interview, I think you said you like to dress up.
Yes. It's an evolution. You know, I dress differently now at 32 than I did when I was 22. And I look back and, you know, sometimes you cringe, but it's also like, it was cute. I was 22. That's what I thought business professional looked like a sequin pink blazer, you know? Now I know better. I know differently. But I loved that girl. I loved that little girl. And I love who I am now too. You know, it's just a constant evolution. And you feel, I'm going to sound so old because I'm like 32. I'm so wise, right? You fall in love with like yourself, your new versions of yourself, right? If that makes sense. I loved who I was as a child. Like I loved the little inquisitive girl in the classroom, and I loved who I was. And a part of me could feel sad that I'm not that anymore. But it's like, well, wait, I loved who I was, that like budding 22-year-old in Palm Springs who had the nerve to go out and think she could start a nonprofit, and that, you know, be so bold, like so naive. Like I loved that. Like I loved that girl. But then I really love who I am now too, and I'm a woman, and I don't know. It's you learn to. If I could share anything with you, you know, you learn to love your different evolutions of yourself, and you're always the same in your heart. It's you're just a whole lot wiser.
Yes, absolutely. I've learned that, you know, you have to love yourself, like you said, love your self evolution and embrace it, you know?
Yes.
Can you run me through a typical day at Spectrum?
Yeah, so every day we have a 9 a.m. call, and it kind of goes over the day, right? What the big stories are for the day. And then I usually after that, I have another call of some sort, whether it's with our entertainment team or a publicist or a story I'm working on, or my entertainment producer kind of brainstorming other ideas. You know, there's always like something. And then usually like get in the shower, get ready, go into work. I have hair and makeup at 11. And then right after that, you start doing like 12:31, 1:32, 2:33, like every half hour, you anchor an update. It's, I'm Bianca Rae, here's your Spectrum News One update, your top 3 headlines of the day. And then we go through just a minute long, but you do that every half hour. So it's, pretty busy day. And then I get into the set at like 3:45, I'll go back into makeup for like a little touch up, to get the oil off. And then we go into the big studio, we get our microphone on, get all mic'd up for the show. And then you start, it's called pre-production. So you record all the coming up at 5 and, your little like openings of the newscast. It's basically all the things that you just can record ahead of time. You do in the 4 hour. And then we go live at 5. At 4:59, I say to the guys, we got this, guys. Let's have a great show. We got this. I always say that. And then at 5 p.m., we go live from 5 to 6. And then we're done at 6. We have a meeting to kind of talk about how the show went, but also our newscast reruns at 6. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then there's some weeks that I don't do those half-hour updates that my co-anchor does. And so we switch, right? Those weeks, afternoons are like open, and that's when I go out and I'll shoot stories, or I'll write a story, or I'll be editing a story, right? Like, those now, like we have award season coming up. We had a meeting yesterday talking about award season. I'm already have 2 stories that I'm working on that I need to schedule shoots for. I need to schedule those interviews for. So I'm working on that. I'm going to do that the week where I'm not doing those half-hour updates, So that's kind of, there's always something going on.
It's like right at one after the other, right?
I enjoy forward progress. I enjoy being generative, and it's really fun.
That's fascinating. What would you say is the difference between working at KESQ, like a small market, and Spectrum?
The nuts and bolts of journalism and news stays the same, right? You're always putting stories together and putting them out there for your viewers, people who need to hear them. But working in a bigger market is, it's more fast paced. There's more at stake. There's a lot more people watching, right? There's, every issue is big. In a small community, the issue is huge for that community. In LA, the issue is huge for that community. But, when you're working on a big network, maybe then your story, you don't just put a story together for LA, because we have a national reach as well. You know that your story is going to be seen in New York. It's going to be seen in Florida. It's going to be seen in Texas. There's more of that pressure, right? Your work gets to be seen on a broader scale, which is exciting. You do it obviously to be able to have the impact and have people be impacted by your work. So it's incredible when your blood, sweat, and tears of a story gets to be seen by a wider audience. And, it's very exciting working in a bigger market for sure. You have more reach to make a bigger impact of people, watching. And it's LA too. LA is such a vibrant city. There's so much culture. The things I get to cover, you get to cover more entertainment news, a lot of, big national political stories as well. You just kind of access to bigger stories on a national footprint as well.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What advice or tips would you give to someone interested in the journalism industry?
Gotta work your butt off and say yes to a lot of things. And in the beginning, it might not look like what you think it's going to look like 10 years from now, right? And it will look different in 10 years. My life looked a lot different 10 years ago, but you can't be above anything, even now, I'm not above anything, and you shouldn't be above anything, but you might get asked less of those hard questions than you would be 10 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago, in the beginning of your career, you're taking the overnight shifts, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. If I was asked it today, I would still say yes. You're not asked it as much. It's right. You have other responsibilities, but
right.
Like those beginning years kind of weed out a lot of people. Not that that's bad. Not everybody's meant to go the long haul in journalism, but a lot of people prefer to leave and go into marketing and PR, or to quit the business and do something else. If you don't love it, you're not going to make a lot of money until like later on in your career. So you're not doing it for the money. You have to love it. You're not, it's funny, in journalism class, they said to us, if you want to just be on TV, go to the next building and go major in like, drama or something. If you're just doing, because honestly, if you're doing it for money, it's not enough to last. If you're doing it to be on TV, it's not enough to last, because there's a lot of hard work. Like I said, the TV part is like 2 minutes at the end of your day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's the whole thing in the beginning, but when you put it together, if you love it, you love it. I mean, it's like an amazing day. And so, yes, I would just say, if you're determined to get to LA, to a big market, being financially independent and making good money and being, doing those things that come along with it later in your career, stick with it. Be the hardest worker in the room. Say yes. Don't roll your eyes. Being honest, like in the small, my first job, I've seen people like roll their eyes when they weren't happy with a story assignment, or kind of talk back or be snarky. Like, I would never even fathom of doing that. It's crazy, So just be the hardest working person, be the kindest person. Just, I do believe that stuff gets you really, really far if you really want to go, the long haul.
Absolutely. It definitely need dedication and hard work. Yeah. It takes all of that.
And my other piece of advice would just be to really find mentors along the way, because
I was going to ask about mentors. That's perfect.
It's like,
so what can you tell me about mentors? Like, how would you approach it too?
Yeah, there's a quote that success is when hard work meets opportunity. Hard work, like what I just said, yes, 100%, it's so important, but I know a lot of people are going to argue, and it's true, like hard work is not necessarily enough. Like, there's a lot of hardworking, good people out there that don't get to the top, right? You do have to have that opportunity, and that opportunity comes in many forms. Some people know people, right? That's an opportunity. Some people have a family of newscasters. Some people have amazing mentors that open doors for them. Some people, right? I mean, so there's all different ways to get opportunities. So don't be discouraged, whichever bucket you fall in. You just have to have opportunities. You have to work hard, but you also have to have opportunities. And I feel like mentors have given me opportunities. Mentors have come in different shapes to me. They've been people that have just like cared about me, and like on their own accord were like scooping me up. Like, I want to take you under my wing, and I care about you, and I want to help you. And they've helped me and given me advice. Other people I've gone up to and I've been like, I'd love to, I remember I've said to some people before, I have to tell you how much like I follow your journey. I'm very, I look up to you a lot. You're a real role model. Can I take you out to coffee one morning? I'd love to pick your brain. And people have said yes, and they've become mentors and friends. So be bold about it, you guys. I'm telling you, adults love helping younger people. I mean, most adults, I don't know anybody who doesn't. I love when I have 20-somethings reach out to me and be like, Bianca, they ask me a question. It kind of makes me feel old, but other than that, I don't know, maybe it's like the maternal side of me, but like, it makes me feel like I could help someone. And I really enjoy that feeling. And I think a lot of people do. And so work hard, work your butt off, be the hardest working person in the room, but also find good mentors, find opportunities for yourself. Find mentors that will help you bring opportunities to yourself, because success is when hard work meets opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I like how you went into the mentors right away. That was my next question. I'm like, you know the deal. Would you like to share anything else to end our interview?
I'm always looking for more support for the Bianca Rae Foundation. I would say anybody who wants to get involved, wants to learn more, wants to volunteer, you could go to our website, biancaraefoundation.org, and reach out, or find me on Instagram. I'm at Bianca Rae. We also have at Bianca Rae Foundation. But I would just say that I am an open book, and I love being there for people. So if you want to know more about me, you want to know more about journalism, if you want to know more about the Bianca Rae Foundation, I'm here for you guys, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for the amazing interview.
Oh, thank you for your time.
You've been listening to The Santana Show with Naomi Santana. interesting guests and insight with good conversation. You can follow Naomi on Twitter at Naomi Santana 45 and The Santana Show at The Santana Show _. Please subscribe to The Santana Show on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Join Naomi again next time on The Santana Show.